I'm about to show you three different things. The first is a picture of Patriots quarterback, Cam Newton, followed by an example of an NFL record and a period of time. Okay, here they are. Let's start with the record. What does it mean? Well, for our purposes, it represents two different things. Number one, it's a losing record. 7 wins, 9 losses, winning percentage below 500. This is the worst spot for a franchise to be in. Not good enough to compete in the playoffs, not bad enough to get good draft position, just stranded in the middle of no man's land. Number two, it's the Patriots record in the year 2020. Yep, the New England Patriots, coached by Bill Belichick, played 16 games, won less often than they lost, and missed the playoffs. What about that period of time, 2000 to 2020? From now on, when I say Patriots dynasty, this is what I mean. This time period right here. It begins in 2000 with Tom Brady and ends here in 2020 with Cam Newton. Cam Newton is the leader of a franchise at the end of a dynasty, leading a ship headed nowhere fast. He didn't ask for this. This isn't what he planned for. Yeah, I probably look like that too. Here's every game and every season of the entire Patriots dynasty, graphed. Red is their losses, blue is their wins. The green line is a winning record, 9-7, a nice competitive record. If you finish the season like this, you'd be in good shape. Most likely a playoff team, pretty competitive. Okay, so what? Well, in the past 20 years, the Patriots have finished below this line twice. You're looking at 18 years of pure football excellence under one logo. And it's all over. I'm not here to tell you the Patriots were good. We all know that. We have known that. But how good were they? And how much will we miss them? During this 20-year dynasty, the Patriots played a total of 320 games, winning an absurd 233 of them. Here we see every franchise they ever faced and how well each franchise fared. At the front, we see the teams that have won the most games with division rivals in the Dolphins, Jets, Colts. And at the back, we see the teams that haven't beaten the Patriots in 20 years. The Cowboys and the Falcons. If you had told me all the way back in the beginning in 2016 that the Falcons were facing the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I would tell you the Patriots are going to win. If you had told me the Falcons were by 25 with less than 15 minutes to go, I would still tell you the Patriots will win. Because the Falcons haven't won a game against the Patriots this century. And they have yet to prove me wrong. When you look at this graph as a whole, it's pathetic. There's a lot of losing going on here. The grand majority of franchises barely only have one win against them in 20 years. But one column sticks out like a sore thumb. This huge bar in the middle. The Bills column. It's hideous. The Chiefs have won the same amount of games while playing 4 times fewer. It's disgusting. And it brings up a good point. The Patriots division. The Patriots play in the AFC East, alongside the losing Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets. The Patriots caught the Bills in the middle of one of the losingest stretches in the history of sports, a 17-year playoff drought, with the Wings yet to win a single playoff game since 1999. You could use this argument to say that the Patriots have it easy and take advantage of their weaker rivals. When it comes to winning seasons during this stretch, the Patriots have no real competition. It is very hard for their rivals to win consistently. The Jets do the best out of the 3, but even then they've just had 8 winning seasons in the past 20 years. But the dominance of the Patriots can't be explained by a below-average division. If we change this graph to playoff appearances, all 3 division rivals move into the bottom 6. The principle here is simple. If you don't win your division, you don't win a playoff spot. Who's at the top of this list? Oh yeah. More than the Steelers, more than the Ravens, more than any other team in the entire AFC. The Patriots won their division 17 times during the dynasty. The Bills may have been awful during this time, true, but they didn't make the playoffs because they were bad. They didn't make it because the Patriots wouldn't let them. Again, this isn't privilege. This is dominance. Now that we know a little bit more about the Patriots in a small conference-sized sample, let's look at them from a historical perspective. Here, we have 9 of the greatest NFL dynasties to walk the gridiron, listed in no particular order, displaying how many regular season games they won in the best 20-year stretch of their franchises. The Patriots win pretty handily here, but what about where it really counts? What about playoff appearances, playoff wins, and Super Bowls? How do they fare there? We'll look at the Patriots in a minute, but now let's see who the best is among the other 8. The standouts here are the 49ers of the 80s and 90s, and the Cowboys in the same 2 decades. A special shout out goes to the Cleveland Browns of the 40s, who still managed to stay up here despite existing in an NFL that played only 12 regular season games and 1 playoff game, which they won 8 out of their 12 trips. Anyways, back to the top dogs. The 49ers got 2 back-to-back all-time great QBs in Steve Young and Joe Montana, while the Cowboys had an all-time great offensive core. Which dynasty was better? I'll pause the video so you can discuss. Done? Good, because your opinion is irrelevant. The Patriots don't care about it. The Pats blow everyone out of the water in playoff wins and Super Bowls. Oh, and remember those 17 division titles? That's the most by any team in the Super Bowl era within a 20-year stretch. The Patriots are the greatest dynasty of all time. And it's not even close. When it came playoff time, no team was quite as dominant as the 2000s Patriots. They played 42 in 20 years, winning 31 of those games. Here we see the point differential of each one. Your point differential in a given game is however many points you won or lost by. On one side is the positive differentials of the games where they won, and on the other side is the ones they lost. The bigger the bar, the bigger the win or loss. Now look at this top corner. Average point differential, 6.2. That means that at any point during any postseason in the dynasty, the Patriots could walk onto any field on any day, in any year, against any opponent, and still be favored by 6 points. The playoffs are where it counts, but what if I want a bigger sample size? What if I want their regular season wins too? If I could show you only one graph from this video to get my point through your skull, it's this one. Average point differential, 8.7. And if you look at this whole graph, you're going to see that green line. That green line is the number 20. Over a third of those games are above that line, meaning they won a third of their games by more than 20 points. Any field, any team. Winning, losing, sunny, snowy, rainy, doesn't matter. I've got Patriots by double digits. Here we see every team the Pats face in the postseason during the dynasty, with blue as their wins against the Pats. It's the same as the second chart, but in the playoffs. For all the great teams on this chart, not a single one has a winning record against the Pats. Nope, not a single one. We'll come back to that, but for now, I want to show you their postseason record. In 18 postseasons, the Patriots made the Super Bowl 9 times. If the Patriots appeared in the postseason, there was a 1 in 2 chance they would make the big game, and there was a 1 in 3 chance they would win it. Here's their record in each of those postseason appearances, with the ones that resulted in a Super Bowl ring in gold, as those are the years they didn't lose a game. Most of the time, they win at least one. In the latter years of the dynasty, they made the conference championship game 8 straight years, meaning every single one of their postseason appearances held meaning. The Patriots were legitimate contenders every single year, without fail. If the dynasty was a movie, we'd know the plot. But who are the actors? Look to guys like Richard Seymour, one of the best defensive ends of his era, a cornerstone of their defense and an all-time great. Or even Matt Light, an all-time great Patriots tackle who sealed their offensive line for several years. Even Adam Vinatieri, who kicked off the dynasty in Super Bowl 36, literally, with a game-winning field goal to prevent overtime all the way back in 2001. These are the players of Patriots past, but if you prefer the more recent edition of the Patriots, look towards guys like Rob Gronkowski, arguably the greatest tight end of all time. Or even Julian Edelman, MVP in Super Bowl 53 with 10 catches and 140 yards in the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever. Even Steven Gostkowski, an all-time top 5 kicker who played a huge role in the Pats' winning renaissance. With all of these options, who contributed the most to winning? Better question. Do you know what they all have in common? Every single one was drafted and coached by this man, Bill Belichick, head coach and GM of New England since 2000. Bill's name is synonymous with success. As a GM, he knows players, and as a coach, he knows how to use them for one common goal, winning football. If there's only one man responsible for the Patriots we know and love, it's him. Well, him or Tom Brady. The fact that I made a near 20-minute Patriots video and have failed to mention Tom Brady is atrocious, and I apologize. Let's take a moment and appreciate the man and how much he was synonymous with winning. Here we have the Patriots wins, red, graphed alongside his yards per pass attempt, something Brady was known for because of his short, efficient passes that tore through zone defenses. There's not much correlation here, so we'll move on to the next one, quarterback rating, the measuring stick for all great quarterbacks. There's also little correlation. He peaks and spikes, but the record doesn't fluctuate accordingly. What about total passing yards? Yeah. Even then, no. Look at 2008, where he didn't even complete a single pass because of a neck injury. The Patriots didn't skip a beat, winning 11 games, even with Matt Castle at the helm. Matt Castle. Have you ever even heard that name outside of a trivia game? Yeah, me neither. Well, if Brady statistically doesn't help the Patriots win, is it Bill? Have we overhyped Tom Brady? Is it really just Bill Belichick's consistency that has helped the Patriots win this many games? His offense, his defense, have they been that statistically sound enough? Just top of the league every single year? Again, not really. Here we see the offensive and defensive rankings of the Patriots in each year of the dynasty. The green line is 10, more than 10 wins, that's good. Top 10 in the rankings of either is also good. But there's little correlation yet again. They have the same number of wins in 2003 as they did all the way in 2016, despite having a middling offense and a top 5 defense in both in 2016. And yet across this 20-year time period, the Patriots didn't finish a single season in the bottom half of the league once. That is, until 2020, when Brady left. Belichick was still there. So, is Tom the answer? Well, clearly not in the regular season. But what about the playoffs? I've said time and again that the playoffs are where it counts. So, does Brady pull through? Or is it something we'll never know? Here are all 4 of those stats I previously mentioned, now in the playoffs, graphed with the Patriots' postseason wins, with Super Bowl years in yellow. Here, we see Brady truly shine. There is not a single Super Bowl year that Brady didn't have an excellent postseason. If you wanted to win one, you needed him at the helm. You might be able to carry Brady in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he carries you. That 2008 year he missed, they may have ended up winning with a winning record, but they missed the playoffs. Besides the beginning and the end, it's the only time they did that. They might not even in the regular season. That's up for debate. But you can't question this fact. If Brady was the man, the Patriots were the team. That fact is true even now, on February 3rd, 2008. Two teams on the complete wrong side of the country, in Glendale, Arizona, are facing off in the biggest NFL game of the year. The New England Patriots versus the New York Giants in Super Bowl 42. The Pats are coming out of 2007 swinging, having not lost a game in over a year. How? 2 words. Randy Moss. Who is Randy Moss? The best wideout the league has ever seen. A first ballot Hall of Famer. One that most of the league considered washed up, out. Bill Belichick picked him up and made him lead the league in receiving touchdowns. I don't need to tell you that this was the best year of his career. I don't need to tell you that Brady had an NFL MVP season. All you need to know is that the Patriots are the favorites, as they should be. A win here would cement the greatest season ever, with the New England Patriots setting the bar for the great dynasties before and the ones to come. Randy would prove to the league that he still had it. Brady would prove to the world that he was the best quarterback of all time. And Bill would prove that complete and total dominance was indeed possible. But the Giants, no matter how far outmatched, don't care. Eli Manning doesn't care. Because every Goliath has a David.
The marker. Manning lobs it.